The broadcast is now starting.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the September version of the PixelMill Webinar Series and today's offering of Live from Ignite, a pixel for your thoughts. My name is Michael Wells. I am the Partnerships and Community Manager here at PixelMill, and it is my pleasure to welcome some of my closest, dearest friends here today. We'll start right over here. As you can see on top, we have Mr. Peter Allen from Kiefer Consulting. To my right, to my right, we've got Eric Overfield, President and Co-Founder of PixelMill. Thank you for being here. And of course, to my left, we have Ryan Scouten, newly awarded Microsoft MVP and Microsoft Certified Trainer. There you go. Woo! Happy to have you guys here with us today. This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to review everything that's been going on in the Expo Hall, the keynotes, just everyone's experiences. We're going to have a real good time today, and we've got a really good group of people here. As usual, if you've been on one of our webinars before, there should be a questions tab and a chat tab. If you have questions or comments at any time during the webinar, let us know, put them in there. Eric is being a real sport and keeping track of all the questions for us today. We will try to get to all your questions as best we can. If for some reason we don't get to it throughout the webinar, we will get to it at the end when we have a couple minutes set aside for a Q&A to get all your questions covered. So again, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get going here. If I can get my screen to work now. There we go. I think. There we go.
Your machine's just too excited about all the cool stuff.
It is too exciting. There's so much to talk about. You don't even know. Okay, so our overview for today, we're going to go over, like I said, the keynote, some of the major takeaways from our three lovely gents here. What's the buzz? We're going to tell you about some of the big news that's coming across. We'll talk about some of everyone's favorite sessions or how they stayed awake after partying until 2 a.m. We'll talk about how we got our steps in the Expo Hall, the massive Expo Hall where all the vendors and sponsors are hanging out. And then again, like I said, we'll get to your Q&A. So first up, we'll talk about the keynote. In typical Ignite fashion, there wasn't just one keynote. There were, how many guys? 3 or 4 keynotes?
Several. They had the main one, then several technical keynotes that are more topic specific.
Cool. Why don't you guys talk about that? Which one was your favorite of the keynotes? Start with you, Ryan.
Sure, sweet. Personally, my favorite one was the Office keynote that we had on Tuesday.
Okay.
It had some really cool stuff that really related to me more. Granted, the Satya keynote had some really cool stuff they were showing off with the quantum computing and the HoloLens and Ford demo where they're working with the grills and all that stuff. It's like, okay, and the mirrors. That's one of the things I thought was cool is they're demoing. Previously, if they wanted to look at a mirror, they had to build a full prototype, have somebody sit in the prototype to see how the mirror adjustments work.
Sure.
Now they can just look at it all through HoloLens and say, okay, standing next to the thing, oh, I can see exactly what this mirror is going to display. It's like, okay, that's some pretty sweet stuff.
Great. How about you, Peter?
As I look back on it at the keynote at the time, I was like, how is this going to fit in with everything that's going on? Sure. And now that I look back at the keynote, I see a lot of things and themes actually being integrated that they talked about. For example, the LinkedIn integration that they have with Office 365, I think is really quite amazing. It's a nice integration that they put into that.
You no longer have to leave Office 365 to stalk somebody.
Is that going to be the new Facebook stalking? Is that what this is?
Apparently. I'm going to Office 365 stalk you.
How about you, Eric? Yeah. What was your favorite one?
Well, I like the keynote itself was good. So Satya's keynote, if you haven't seen it, it is available, I believe, on YouTube now for everyone to go view. I would watch it. It's an hour long. It's quick. Unlike last year was 3 hours. This one was nice and tight. I think it gave a really good view of where Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, sees where Microsoft is going to head, and I liked that. That was good. As Brian talked about, the virtual augmented reality was cool. The Big for Business I thought was really, really cool.
Definitely.
The quantum computing, it was cool, I will admit. A lot of the details went over my head. But I would recommend people watch it because it could very well be a transistor moment 100 years ago where you're seeing the first quantum computer. We've been sort of blessed here. That actual demo they showed is on display in the Expo Hall. And we'll talk about our Expo Hall experience later, but it was good. Definitely Jeff Teeper's keynote with the whole SharePoint product group on Tuesday morning, that also should be available on YouTube, was really good. It showed the future of where SharePoint Online is going, and it was kind of funny. They announced some big stuff. It's all public now. So like one of them was cool. He said, and there's going to be a SharePoint 2019, and nobody cheered.
Another one.
I think everyone's happy he just worked it in with Office 365 and Office Server 2019. Yeah,
The interesting thing I would say about that one, the kind of interesting thing was Jeff even mentioned he had to cut a lot out. They had to cut a lot of demos and a lot of things they were announcing out because they just didn't have time.
Oh, sure.
He said if we covered everything, all the cool stuff we've got slated to talk about this week, all the cool stuff we want to show you, we'd be here till 2:00.
Yeah, very true.
So I want to get back to Satya, and one of the things that in the keynote they brought up, he talked about digital transformation.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Right? A lot.
Drinking game.
All right, everybody.
There you go.
All right. So, but if you think about it, right? There's the AI stuff that he talked about and so forth. But there's also just in like you look at Office 365 and all the transformation that's going on between just a year ago and now and what they have planned going on. There's a lot of changes. There's a lot of change in how we work with data, how we work with content, how we work together as a team. So I saw it as more than just this sort of AI thing that sort of is sitting out there, but really a transformation about how we work together as a team, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
There's the one thing they were talked about. There's been a definition change almost. Previously, at previous conferences, they've always talked about collaboration. We got collaboration this, collaboration that. Microsoft themselves, they've taken an approach where I don't remember them saying much about the actual word as collaboration as a thing.
Right.
They talk, okay, we are going to collaborate, but they kind of switched up terminology. They're now using teamwork as their key words. Okay, instead of just collaborating, we're actually working as a team and being productive and improving and enhancing that digital transformation.
Right. And enhancing how a team works together, right? It's more than just a library, right? There's a lot of other ways that you communicate together. And I think that's what the new Teams, application is really all about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. There was a question on, can we get a link to watch this? I'm going to see while we're working on this if we can get the link, and we'll post the link back into the chat so you all can kind of quickly get to the links to these keynotes.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for that. So that kind of leads in, and we're kind of already talking about it, but it leads into our next topic. What's the buzz? What are the big things that are happening? You were talking about Teams. Teams and Skype are going to be the new power couple. So like that's one thing. There's a lot of great things to happen. So let's,
I wouldn't even necessarily call them a power couple. It's going to be a power
grab,
a power merge, a Power Ranger. No, I'm not.
It's one of those things that it's not just going to be. They're not going to be kind of together. Microsoft's eventual goal is that Skype for Business in the cloud world anyway is going to be a non-issue. It's not even going to be an option.
Right.
The Skype for Business will still stay around for those that are on premises. If you're in an on-premises environment, that's still totally an option, and the interconnect between the two will still work for the most part. If you're in a Skype meeting, you have to stay in Skype Business meeting, you have to stay in Skype Business meeting. Teams meeting, you have to stay in Teams. But the ability is they're saying a lot of the functionality, almost everything that we use on a daily basis, in Skype for Business, they're going to pull that functionality into Teams. So it's not going to be, okay, we're going to have both. It's going to be this Teams, if you're in the cloud and Office 365, is going to be the go-to.
Right. The Teams is going to be that hub. And one of the big announcements that they had is now we can have guests. We can have people outside of our organization participate in a team. And once you start to do that, then you get a bigger group that's working together to collaborate on stuff. Because you want to work with your external partners, right? You want to work with people who are outside your organization to get whatever you need accomplished.
Absolutely.
So that's a huge transformation.
Absolutely. Would you say that they're kind of pushing everyone toward Teams and Skype might go away, or is that a little presumptuous to say?
Skype for Business, I think, will, like I said, unless you're an on-prem, it's probably going to be, it's not going to be an option after too long.
Absolutely.
But one of the nice things that came out of this week that I saw, at least in relation to, okay, we've got Teams, we've got Office 365 groups, we've got Yammer, we've got all these tools. After years of people asking and debates, okay, what tool do I use when? Microsoft has actually come out, and even in part of Satya's keynote, is like, okay, here's how we're saying you use these things. Okay, you got Teams for your inner loop, your people you interact and work with on a regular basis. You have your outer loop, which is kind of more of a broader scale, and that's where you're going to be dealing with Yammer, and then also the team with the Office 365 groups. That's even further separated.
Yeah.
Okay, somebody that you may interact with, and they just kind of get notices, updates, and other things, but they're not going to be a full teamwork scenario. I was like, okay, a lot of people are they wanted that information. Okay, Microsoft, when is the appropriate uses for these different tools? So it's kind of nice to have them mention, okay, here are some guidelines on when to use which tool.
Those are some good guidelines.
I thought there was a really cool demo by Naomi Moneypenny on the search. The new search is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, so we talked about Bing for Business, which we saw on Monday, but Tuesday during Jeff Teeper's keynote, and then since then we've seen a lot more sessions on it. more sessions you all want to search for on YouTube as well. The YouTube search I think is working well is Ignite 2017 YouTube, then you're kind of like what it was. So you try search or a person's name or something, or Jeff Teeper, you'll find his sessions. Okay, so we then saw the new SharePoint search experience that's coming, and it is sophisticated. It is cool.
It is so cool.
Not only did our UI team go, wow, that is a beautiful search experience, but the underpinning idea of basically creating a unified search experience across Microsoft 365. Yeah. So not just SharePoint, not just Office 365, but Windows 10 as well. Delve, SharePoint, wherever you go, you should always get the same results. And that's just mind-blowing how they're going to get that to work. The main thing that I saw there is that what they showed, it's not available live yet, so don't ask, because you're not going to get it. But it will just start rolling out naturally. They say by the end of the year, what they've said, and that I hope it will be by the end of the year. The big catch is that there's no way to customize it yet. And they've admitted there's nothing on the roadmap as of yet to actually tailor that, to have our own refiners, to create our own experiences based on that experience. And I'm sure they'll add it. I don't think other people saying that, but I'm a fanboy. What can I say? I have to think that they will have to add in those features. And if it's based on Graph, we should get in endpoints into the Graph API, you would think. But again, nothing's been announced. I've been told nothing. I'm giving nothing away that I'm aware of. So I thought that was just cool. I'm really looking forward to search becoming much more powerful.
Definitely.
Yeah, I've always loved the search. But Paul's got something you want to say too. One thing I was thinking just along that vein is one of the cool things they showed was not only do we have search, we got Being for Business, as Eric alluded. If you are going into your Windows 10, you're going into your search bar, you start searching for something, you're getting the exact same results.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, wow, that's just cool. You've got the same results, not just, okay, we've got our web presence, yeah, we assume all the search results will be the same, but directly from your machine that you're using on a regular basis, you have this access to the same data, the same results coming back in the same order. It's just there. So it's kind of, it's just sweet. So it's kind of integrated data sources.
Absolutely.
So they also brought up, we'll talk about it a little bit later, the hub site.
Yes.
But,
Yep.
but along with that, I know that's a teaser, there's search that's narrowed down with that functionality as well,
absolutely.
which is really nice, which we'll get into. But search seems to be a real good focus that they have on, looking at it from a global standpoint, but also giving you the ability to say, hey, let's aggregate these sites together and only search those sites so we keep it focused as well.
Yeah, one of the cool demos they have, they actually, in a couple different sessions, they demoed it with different ways. One of the functionalities that they're adding in the near future, within the next few weeks, is that included when you add a document to either do OneDrive or SharePoint. Say, for example, all of us here at a conference, we're scanning receipts. We're scanning business cards. We have all these things that have all this text in it.
Yeah.
How do we consume and use that? Well, in the next few weeks, they're adding in OCR capability. As soon as you upload those files up there, they're gonna scan it, pull all the text out of it, and it's now available in our search.
So they had in that example, the person typed in sushi, right?
Yeah.
And
excellent choice.
And the receipt for the sushi that they went out for the restaurant, boom, came up.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah, they search for receipts, sushi, bang.
Bang.
It's like, okay, that is cool.
That's so cool.
So the person who set that up, she's out of the FAST team in Norway, and she was in the expo hall. We'll get to the expo hall. Why? Those of you who missed Ignite, I'm telling you, it's all about the connections. You're missing that. Those receipts came from her husband. But anyhow, so this OCR scanning they have that they're going to be including is allowing you to, they're going to scan basically any image, including a PDF image. Yeah. So just to be able to pull out that metadata from your imagery, from scans, from PDFs is it's just so cool that can be crawled and indexed.
Yeah, it's a really cool thing. Peter, you brought up the HubSpot thing. Let's just get into it.
Very cool.
So what is the HubSpot? So what are the Microsoft?
Yeah, tell us about it.
So they are giving you a way to basically aggregate sites together and have basically two top navigations now, right? So you have your normal navigation that your site has, the top navigation that you've set up, but now you can associate that site to a hub site and 6 other ones, and that now has a top navigation so that you can traverse around a concept, an area, a thought, or whatever, a group of sites.
Sure.
And so now this gives you that ability to really sort of do sort of information architecture in Office 365 that you really weren't able to do before.
Sure.
Now, some of the cool things, though, is the question, why would you want to put a site to add it to a hub? And some of the cool things they talk about, they have a couple bi-directional things they talk about. One thing is the consistent navigation. You can brand even that navigation, do some color schemes and logos and things on it, so that way that's kind of cool. But also, when you add a site to a hub, you're saying, okay, this is part of it. We want that navigation. We also want it to have a consistent look and feel. So whatever theme is applied to your hub, every site that's added to that hub looks consistent. It matches. It's not one of those, okay, I'm clicking around and we have 20 different looks. The look and feel of all these sites are all different. It looks like, okay, am I in the right place or not? So we kind of have the consistency. Also, they added in, once you add in a site, and Paul mentioned this a little bit earlier, they have added in some refiners into the search so that the content, news, and all these things that you're putting into that site will now be aggregated and surfaced at the higher level. So it's not, instead of having to go down and find it all, I can do news in one of my hub site, one of my sites is underneath in that hub, and the content will show up on that root hub site is in the search results. So we've got our news web parts, it just displays our activity, it's all there. So it's all kind of helps tie these separate site collections is what they are, but allows them to mesh a lot more cleanly.
Definitely.
You can promote news now. So
That's
you
right.
have an
All
option
right.
to promote a news article if you want. So
There you go.
that's another new feature as well.
Gotcha.
A question I asked, or a question I was been asked a lot, and it was on Twitter as soon as they announced this. The hub sites, com sites, and team sites, are they going to replace the need for a custom intranet portal?
Oh, good question.
Just a good one. The interesting thing, though, is really a hub site is just a specialized communication site or team site, so it just gets us some more functionality. But yeah, there is that question. With what we're getting, doing a lot of really customized intranets, we're getting a lot of the stuff that we usually need out of the box now. So where that actually goes, I think it just remains to be seen when we get the functionality and we can have a chance to play and work with it.
So let's talk about that a little bit, right? Let's step back and take a look at the things that they sort of announced, right? So this theming of the sites, getting down to font and color and accent and so forth, is really sort of catering to that. Your ability now with the modern pages to have multiple columns and organize your content in such rich ways, it's becoming really easy for the average person who is taking care of a short SharePoint environment on their site or so forth to build very rich pages that before you couldn't do. You would need to get somebody to come in and really brand it for you and get it to look really good at what SharePoint out of the box. Everybody said, oh, it looks out of the box, but now they're coming out with a very standard look and feel with that Fabric UI that's getting used everywhere.
Yeah. And one of the things along those lines too is along those looks, they kind of demoed it a few times, not really a whole lot of information about when we're going to get it. As part of those site designs, we actually have scripts and functionality that we can tie into to say, okay, when you use these custom site designs, so say for example we have a sales site design, we can go out and create, so okay, we need to create these lists, we have these items in it, and you can also kick off a flow. And then with that, essentially, we can do anything we want. So we can do, I was talking with Vesa, and he was showing that we could do that, have everything set up, call out to the flow, and kick off a PnP PowerShell provisioning template, apply it to that site, and boom, all of the artifacts we need and everything's, it's all set up and ready to go. It's like, okay, now that is some cool stuff.
You said P&P, and Eric immediately went, who, P&P?
I have a question, assuming for the hub sites, will we have to start using, assume we have to start using modern pages, etc.?
Yes. One of the questions that they're talking about is if you want to take advantage, of the navigation, because you can add an older site to a hub.
Right, to the navigation.
Yeah, well, you can add to the navigation, you can also make it a part of the hub, but you're not going to get the consistent navigation and look and feel type changes that are coming through. It'll still be possible if you go to the modern pages, so your site contents and all those sort of things, boom, it's there, but any of your classic pages are going to still be the classic look. They're not going to have the navigation and the look and feel. So yeah, they can participate, but they're not going to get all the benefits.
Yep. So I mean, they really talked about sort of transitioning over time your classic pages to modern pages. So taking that site collection that you have or that sub-site that you already have that's in classic mode and then eventually you can integrate it into the hub through the navigation, but you lose it when you go there. But over time, start creating modern pages so that you can integrate it better with the hub.
Paul, you used the S word.
His name's Peter, actually.
Peter, sorry.
You said it once, and I didn't want to correct you, but his name's Peter.
If there was Mary in this room, we'd have a band. So
Keep on Mary.
We'll take it.
But anyway, so one of the things they talked about as well is, oh no, you threw all my thought.
Oh no. now all you can think about is music.
To answer that question, I think is that you don't have to use modern pages to be able to leverage hub sites, because the hub sites should still roll up classic pages, classic content.
Yes.
But if you went to those classic pages, those classic sites, you would lose what the hub is providing, that being like the top global navigation.
Exactly. The top-down parts where you're losing the navigation and you're losing the look and feel, those are the things you'd lose. The aggregation of data would still be there. But,
Right.
Okay, remember, Dan Holm has been saying, and in one of the sessions I was watching the tweets coming out today, that sub-sites are of the devil. They are just evil.
The devil.
Yeah,
wow.
he said they're evil. I was like, okay. So they have, obviously at Microsoft, they have their ideas of some things, and a lot of them there don't see a need much for sub-sites anymore.
Interesting.
Dan made that very clear.
Oh, yes.
During the Jeff Teeper keynote.
Yep.
Yeah.
He
And
does
even
not
a
like
shout
them.
out to our great dear friend Sue Hanley, which we're giving a shout out to her as well.
So really just a very flat sort of, right? Because you just go in and create a new site, and you're not creating it underneath, and that you're using the hub as your mechanism to sort of, connect all of these disparate sites
Oh, sure.
without having, a structure.
A hub, as it were.
Right. So that's a concept.
I know.
Is that where they got the name from? Oh, man.
All the spokes going around, who knows?
We had another question come in around some modern pages. So modern pages means we should use SPFX. We should be using SharePoint Framework.
Yeah.
You as a huge
Yeah.
proponent of SharePoint Framework, I'm sure you're not going to say no.
Is that a question?
It is a question. And so my answer to that is, should we learn SPFX? You should learn SPFX, period.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
to answer that question, SharePoint Framework is the future SharePoint development model. I assume you guys are agreeing, getting some headshaking is good,
Yeah.
heads nodding. So the framework itself can be used in classic experiences,
Yes.
which is pretty cool as well. So at least on SharePoint Online, you can use SharePoint Framework web parts. So ideally, all of your customizations moving forward are not going to be done with custom page layouts or with classic experiences where you can change things. Really, you're just going to, if you needed to use a classic experience, you would use SPFX web parts to provide the functionality, because that's what's more friendly for comm sites, for modern sites, etc., modern team sites.
Yeah, what they came out with, especially they announced and they've released Feature Pack 2 for SharePoint 2016 a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
If you're on 2016 or SharePoint Online or whatever, there is almost no reason not to.
Yeah.
There's the exact same code base. You can use it on a SharePoint 2016 classic page, because we don't have modern in 2016. You can use it in a classic page in Office 365, and we can use it in classic. We got classic, modern all over the place. So there's no reason not to. The only reason you'd have a problem is if you're still on 2013.
Sure.
Because the SharePoint framework isn't there. And in sessions, they actually asked them, okay, is it going to get there? And the answer was no. Dan
Because they
Kogan
want
said,
you to upgrade.
Exactly.
Dan Kogan said, it's not going there. At one point in time, they said, okay, it's based off of feedback. If enough people wanted it, they might think about it. But pretty much the answer was yesterday. It's like, no, it's not coming 2013. There's no value in it for them to do that, especially since they announced SharePoint 2019.
Yeah.
If they push it back to 2013, they're releasing new functionality to a 2-version old system. So they have no plans to do it.
And we have 2019 coming along, so.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
Exactly.
TBD, what's included in that. But
Of course.
yes, it is coming. They've announced that pretty much a year from now, we'll have SharePoint 2019.
But it'll only be 2018 in a year from now.
I know. Well, like SharePoint 2016 came out middle of 2015.
Oh, I guess
so
that's true. Yeah.
It's like, those version numbers are kind of wishy-washy.
Yeah,
It's
like
yes, it's
buying
a
a
year.
car.
Yeah, exactly. It's like buying a car.
You always get the future year car.
Peter just bought a 2020 Kia Solantra. No, kidding.
So I did just post, hopefully everyone got it, where you can get the on-demand videos now, but I'll just say it out. It's myignite.microsoft.com/videos. I did just verify. Everyone should have access to that, so that's really cool. So along that line, could you guys give me one or two of the top sessions that we haven't already talked about like what was the title as best you remember? Who was
moving on to sessions? Gotcha.
As best you remember, and like what was that 1 or 2 takeaways? Let's try to keep it short here because I think there's going to be 20 sessions that we need to talk about here. Now, of course, I know both of you and everybody at Ignite had to go to my 2 sessions. That didn't happen. I had some theater sessions that were a lot of fun. They weren't recorded, but it was a great experience. But what are some top sessions, guys? I had to give them time to review their notes.
Yeah.
I don't want them to say all 20 of them.
So I was just in one of these sessions, or in this session, and it was the SharePoint lists and libraries geeking out.
Oh, yeah, you was
So
talking
that one is I would say is just as top as the Jeff Teeper one. It was amazing the things that are coming along with the lists and libraries, right? I mean, there are a slew of functionality that's coming out this year and next year. When I watched that session and other sessions, I got really excited about all the functionality coming out, but I realized some of the stuff they talked about is coming out this year, and some of it's coming out at the beginning of next year, right?
Oh, interesting.
So to me, 2018 is going to be a big year because there's going to be a lot of functionality that we're getting here that really makes lists and libraries much more interactive and intuitive. They have bulk edit coming.
Nice.
Right?
Oh, instead of kicking back over to the old page, load it into the modern page?
Bulk edit. And it's not through the quick edit methodology or anything. It's a totally different way, which is quite fascinating. Quite
very cool.
So,
Very cool.
There's a slew of other things that you just will be amazed every time you watch. Like, I want that. I want that.
Yeah. So for me, I think for me, over the last 3 days, I think each day there's some ones that really thought were kind of really worth going to look at. The first ones I'd say is Naomi Moneypenny did a session on Monday entirely on search. So the parts that Jeff talked about and even Naomi demoed in Jeff Teeper's keynote on Tuesday, she had a whole hour and 15-minute long session on all of that. So that's definitely one I would say worth checking out. Also, just because as a consultant I get the requests a lot from clients, there was a session yesterday afternoon on the new things that are coming out for branding. You're branding the sites, and so they're talking about, okay, you got the site designs, how the hub sites interact with all this, all sort of things. So it's something near and dear because I get those requests all the time. So that would definitely be one that's worth looking at.
It was a really well done presentation.
It was, yes. Well, if you think about it, it's not the developer types like us that are doing things. These are actual designers, the people that are working with the designs for the Office UI Fabric and all this stuff. So it's one of those. If you look at the one people that had doing, it's like, okay, yeah. They're not devs, they're more of the design type of people.
Sure.
So it's like, okay, their whole presentation was honestly a lot more polished than mine would have been if I was doing the same topic, but it was good. Also, I'd say one of the cool ones, at least I sat in this morning, was the one, I know this will get near and dear to Eric's heart and mind because we both use it on a regular basis, was one on the PNP.
Oh, you took mine.
Gotcha. So it was kind of cool. They're talking about, granted, I've worked with the PNP. But some of the things they talked about is they're actually producing, as part of the PNP, they're adding in reusable controls now.
Ooh.
So you have the Office UI Fabric has its controls, but these are more full featured functionality. So the Office UI Fabric, okay, you've got a people picker control, but you still have to plumb it and provide it data.
Sure.
Whereas with this new control, it's already plumbed and connected to Office 365. You just say, okay, I want to use it, put it on there, done.
So there's one more I want to talk about because we really haven't talked a whole lot about it, and that's graph.
Yeah, a lot of those are graph.
So I went actually a couple of the graph one, but the one that I went was graph and using it with Office 365.
Oh, okay.
And she did a fabulous job of just really giving you an overview of graph and how absolutely amazing graph
Was
is.
that Yina's session?
I believe so,
Okay.
yeah. And
What was the speaker's name, sorry?
Yina Arenas, I think.
Arenas, David Levendra, and Wes Hackett.
Gotcha. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for having a great session.
It was great. It was a great overview of like what graph is and how to use it and integrate it. And it's really thinking about content in a different way. How am I going to bring content and from everywhere within Office 365, not just SharePoint. We're SharePoint people here, but there's so much other information in Office 365, whether you look at Outlook and other areas with that you can bring in. And it was absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, the beauty of the graph is it's one source for all that data. If we want Office 365 data, or it's all the Office 365. We want SharePoint data, it's there. We want OneDrive data, it's there. We want Outlook data, it's there. We want Planner data, it's there. All the different pieces, the big, huge periodic table we've got of Office 365 tools, majority of them are in there, and they're starting to come out and more adding in. One of the things they did announce was with the graph, being SharePoint people, the lists endpoint in graph is now in GA. It's instead of being part of the beta endpoint, it's now part of V1.
Right.
That's great.
So I'm used to developing in REST and getting all the lists and doing and working with lists and libraries that way. And now you can do it with Graph. They just launched that, and so now you can use Graph not only to now work with lists and libraries, but you can get people information. You can get Outlook information. You get all that and bring it together.
The contextual information along with it. Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that makes it real easy though, because yes, I like the rest of the APIs. Graph has always been authentication-wise has been a pain to work with, but the SharePoint team has actually added in a lot of ways that they'll handle. If you're using basic scenarios, they'll handle that authentication piece for us. As far as the SharePoint framework, say, okay, I want to do a graph request. I want to go get this endpoint. It says, okay, cool, authentication's done. Just go get it. So it makes consuming it a lot easier. So that's my question before was always, okay, I'm in SharePoint. Why would I need to go out to the graph and handle with all that authentication issues when I'm already here just to consume list data? But now they're integrating and making it easier. It's like, oh, okay, delightful. We can get list data, but all the contextual, okay, who's working on these items? Who cares about these sort of things? Like, okay, there's the value of being able to go to the graph to pull list data instead of just using the standard SharePoint APIs.
So this wasn't a question, but it's a comment, and I'm turning it into a question. Not a question. Looks like we, SharePoint developers, still have a long, solid career ahead.
Oh, yes.
Based on what you just said, please expand, both of you, for a few minutes on what you think of what that means.
Exactly.
Well, all the stuff they're coming out, within the last week, the SharePoint Framework extensions went GA. So we can use that as part of our stuff. So granted, we have a lot of cool new stuff we do there for including headers and footers and field customizers, all this cool stuff. We've got those actions, so that's going to keep us busy for a while. But yeah, as far as what they're including in with Graph, they're just adding so much available to us. I sat on some sessions that were talking about incorporating Graph with bots. So you actually have a bot that's native inside Teams that can interact with your users, one, on a on-demand basis, says, hey, I ask for help from the bot, it gives me what I need back, or I tell it what to do. But also, if you think about it, with Graph, you have access to the data that you can, for example, pick up when an email message comes in, and that bot can pick up in Teams and do a direct chat to you and say, hey, by the way, I saw this message came in about this, would you like me to update this? You always say, oh, you have a key meeting with your boss. Do you want me to update and remind you to go prepare for this beforehand? So you have a lot of those scenarios. You can actually take that intelligent data that the Graph has available to us and interact with the users on a fluent native basis. They can say, okay, I want to do this, and they're interacting with it just as if they were interacting and talking with a person.
So it's a great question. So I want to sort of step back because, that is definitely a question that I asked myself at the beginning of this, of coming to this, right? And, because if you look at SharePoint online and the modern UI, a lot of stuff that we used to do to sort of make SharePoint better is being now taken care of by Microsoft. They're doing that, right? They're controlling that. That's the sort of the focus, right? So at first you think, wow,
I have a job.
Client-side coding, what can I do? That's why I wanted to bring up the Graph. Because I think that what us as client-side developers have to think about is the bigger picture, right, about digital transformation, the bigger picture about all the information that is being stored in Office 365 for companies. And really thinking about, wait a second, I can build things with the Graph that are going to bring productivity, they're going to bring ease of use to information, access to information, and you have to really start thinking that way instead of, oh, you know what, I can do some cool UI tricks, or I can make it easier to do this or that. Microsoft is doing that. They're giving you the Fabric UI so that it's a consistent look and feel. They're coming up with how you're going to interact with the document library and everything. It's your job now to think about, how am I going to take document library information? How am I going to take Outlook information? How am I going to take people information, the activities that people are doing, and all that information, and bring it together for something that's more productivity oriented?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would use it as the analogy that I've been telling the IT pros out there who are fearful of the cloud. If you're the agent of resistance, you're going to be out of a job. But if you're the agent of change and you move from the IT pro to the DevOps, someone's got to manage the cloud for your organization. It's the same thing here. It's if you're just a developer who wants to do cool little whizzy tricks that's branding, that does something on the front end, that does something Microsoft now does, yeah, you're probably out of a job. But if you see all of the potential future of now getting rid of all that plumbing's taken care of for you, now you can deliver that true valued solution that your organization needs. That isn't maybe a classic intranet, shall we say, but it's providing that solution to be able to help get the documents that someone needs in the right place, or to help that business process that actually makes this whole implementation make sense for your organization. You're going to be fine. So absorb the new technologies, learn what it is, find out what your organization actually needs, find out what it is, the pain points that your fellow employees are having issues with, and build the solutions for that using this solid platform. Because Microsoft, of course, can't deliver everything. That's why they gave us these endpoints.
Yeah, a lot of times I tell people is with the cloud does not put anybody out of a job. The cloud actually frees us up to actually do a lot of more of these cool processes. Instead of dealing with a lot of that mundane stuff, we can now, instead of being out of a job, our job just should change. So we're actually using a lot of these more processes and being, honestly, I think, a lot more effective in what we're doing.
I argue against that in only the sense of saying if you resist the change,
well, yes,
and you just say, but I want to be a bare metal server guy, that's going to be a tough job.
You're going to be a dinosaur in the tar pits.
Someone here, some god, SharePoint developer now becomes a graph developer. I wouldn't go that far, because there's still plenty of SharePoint development that will be SPFX driven, that will combine other processes. But yeah, that's a good one.
It's the graph just ends up being another endpoint we're consuming data with.
Exactly.
Whether we're using weather data, pulling in stock data, graph is just another source for us.
But that being said, graph, yes, will be, I think, important because of what we saw, what Ms. Moneypenny showed, where everything on search is driven by graph. So all of the search stuff we used to do, which is what SharePoint is good at, pulling data together, that hopefully will be graph driven next year.
So one of the sessions that I went to on the graph and OneDrive, it was really interesting. A comment the guy said, he goes, all the things that we do in OneDrive, we use graph, just like you would use it. Like, we don't have any special tools or special hooks or special behind the scenes things on what we're doing. We're doing the exact same thing that we're giving you guys to go do. So imagine what you can do if we can do this.
Yeah, Dan Kogan in one of the sessions on Tuesday had mentioned that one of their goals with doing the SharePoint framework was that the gap between first party Microsoft, third party us, and how we're producing things, their goal is to make it disappear. That we're producing things the same way they are. Granted, yes, they have some back-end ties, they can cheat, but a lot of the same tools and things we're using, we're all going to feel the same pain. So we're going to feel it. They're going to feel like, okay, yeah, we need to fix this. We need to do something about it. So the innovation is going to be a lot easier. We're going to be using the same tools, just like we had in the early days of SharePoint when we're adding functionality with server side. So was Microsoft. It was beautiful. Then we had this lull where nothing. There was no improvements. Microsoft was adding in functionality, but not in the ways they gave us to add in functionality. But now we're back to what we had before, is we're using a lot of the same tool sets and the same tool chains. They've said what they're adding in, SharePoint framework, all this stuff, they're using that same methodology to create their new functionality. All the cool web parts they've created with the Yammer web part, the video web parts, all these cool things, they're doing it all through the same way with SharePoint framework.
So let's move on from sessions and think in higher order. I think this should be our next one. I'm thinking, like, what's your key takeaways?
Oh, we can stick back now.
Yeah, we'll talk about Expo in a little bit.
Yeah, we do that in a second.
So, like, what can you sum up 1 to 3 big takeaways then from all of this, from all the sessions now, or what are you going to go home with? What are you taking to your clients? What are you taking back to your own personal?
Yeah, what excites you guys?
For me, I'd say the exciting stuff is you definitely need to start working with teams. If you've got it in your Office 365 and you haven't started working with it, start working with it.
I agree.
All the integrations they've got with bots and all the stuff we've got. The fact that one of the cool things they announced was in Teams, you can take a page, so your home page from your team site, and actually just add it as one of the tabs. So no longer are you just stuck, okay, we got content and we have to do all this stuff. They're actually natively embedding. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The other stuff is just all the things they've got with hub sites and all this. My thing, I'm just looking forward to being able to play with it. Sadly, hub sites are not going to be until next year before we can see those. But just to keep in mind, hey, they're there. They're coming. So I think a lot of these Ignite is one of those big, okay, roadmap type conferences. This is some of the cool stuff we got right now. Here's the stuff that's coming. So as you're starting to prep and love these new projects, like any of us, it takes some time to spin up a project. You have some ideas. Okay, granted, we may not have it now, but we can start prepping for it.
I would concur on the team side of stuff. For me, the organization that I work for, really getting them on Teams. So to sort of help kick that off, we've got a few team sites going, but we really haven't really plowed into it. But for this conference, I created a team site, right?
Oh, nice.
And then I had, different days, day 1, day 2, and then, sort of threads going on about each session that I went to sort of, and then, made that everyone in the company was a member of that team. So they have access to it. They can comment on it. They can, share, and we can sort of talk and work together on that.
So we go to conferences and go to sessions?
I know, you didn't have to speak this time. Nice.
So my big takeaway is that Microsoft, definitely in the Office 365 space, those people who built the product are really proud of what they did.
Yeah, definitely.
And the way that I see this is that all of the sessions, all the primary sessions are being given by Microsoft people that built it. The team, the Microsoft team, and I don't know exactly what group it is, but there are over 100 Microsoft employees around our space that we're dealing with that came to this, and they're all beaming with excitement to be at the Ask the Experts area that Microsoft puts on, their kiosks, and they want to be there, and they're excited about it. They want to present this sessions because they're so proud of it. And that, I just take back and go, cool, this is a product that looks good, and I like what they're doing, so if they like it and I like it, then probably this is going to be a good solution for the foreseeable future.
Definitely, yeah. There were so many great sessions. I wish I could have gone to some. I've been in the expo hall all week, which kind of brings us, I guess, to our next one, the expo hall. For those of you who've never been to an Ignite before, the expo hall is huge. Gargantuan's probably an even better way to explain it. So you guys, I basically stayed at my team's booth most of the time. You guys have got to walk around more. What was that like?
Just to give you a scale of how big this thing is, from one end to the other, this thing's longer than the football stadium.
Yeah.
Oh, no, yeah, much longer.
Yeah,
Easily.
It's huge.
Easily.
Yeah. And now, width-wise this year, it's probably made about the same as a football field. But the length, this is just gargantuan. Yeah. You can stand back at one side, and sometimes you can see some of the signs clear back there, but it's so tiny you can't see what's going on. It's just massive.
It really is. It really is.
I honestly, I can't comment to this because I just hung out in sessions.
Fair enough.
There is so many
for
sessions that I literally was back to back to back sessions, and it was great. I love the sessions.
So Peter, you skipped the networking reception Monday night?
I did. No. I made that because there's drinks, right?
Oh man.
I would say those well though. Now, granted, they have the people like here at PixelMill. They have an awesome booth. They have their people there directly talking, interacting with people, answering questions. So that part of itself is beautiful. If you have a particular concern, you have experts, I would say, there that are available to you at your fingers, willing to talk with you.
Exactly.
Also, what they have is almost the entire length of the expo hall is a whole Microsoft area.
Yep.
So you have definite experts manning those booths about every single area you could think about. So they have people about collaboration, you have people about collaboration, teamwork, you have OneDrive, you have Planner, you have Project, you have Azure, the gamut of all the products Microsoft has. They have, for the most part, they have a lot of Microsoft product team employees there.
Yeah.
And they also have experts from the community kind of helping and pitching out as well. But yeah, most of my time I spent around the teamwork section where they had the SharePoint OneDrive people. Around there, you had majority of those booths, you had a grouping of product team people.
Oh yeah, sure.
High-level Microsoft people and also low-level engineers that know the product from end to end are all there available at your disposal.
Product group managers were there. I love it.
Yeah,
and it's awesome.
And Eric, you got to work in that section of the.
I did. That was a lot of fun to answer people's questions. But I just enjoy doing that kind of stuff. Now, the expo hall itself, and I'm going to cut to one of the things, like why would I go to a conference? And we'll ask some other questions like, what about next year? But for me, the conference is about the networking opportunities.
Absolutely.
Because we've been talking about what sessions we liked. Well, and I've been sending out the links for you to find them. And again, it's myignite.microsoft.com/videos. You could watch these on your own.
Yeah.
So it's those serendipitous moments that when you walking down the hall and you see someone that you haven't seen in a long time, or when you're sitting at a table to eat and all of a sudden you just chat the person next to you and they're having the same problems you are. You go to the Microsoft kiosks and you listen to what other people are saying and you just meet people. So for those of us in the community, it's kind of easier for us. I get it. We know people, but we all started somewhere. For those of you who haven't yet been to conferences or you don't have the network yet, this is where you built it.
Yeah.
And you go to the kiosks, you meet the Microsoft employees, you listen to other people's problems, and then you go off to the side and you say, oh, I work for so-and-so, we're having similar issues. How did you deal with that? And you start to build up these networks. You start to go to the parties afterwards and you just meet people. And that to me is the big takeaway for any good conferences. If you are not networking, Peter, you're just not doing it right. It's not that you need to go talk to the vendors. They sponsor it, that you should or be good to, but it's the networking with everybody else and just finding out how to do your job better for your organization, I think, is the key win.
Yeah, I would also say my personal thing I've started doing more lately is instead of calling them parties, granted a lot of times that's what they are, because I know a lot of connotations managers are like, okay, this is just a big, huge party event, nothing's going on. In reality, yes, there are parties. There are several of them every single night.
Oh, yeah.
If you wanted to, you could kill yourself trying to go to all these parties. I've started, instead of using party, I started using more of the term of networking events.
Or networking receptions.
Yeah, networking, social type things, because that is what they are. You have the interactions with, a lot of times, even these same Microsoft product people, you get to interact with them on a more personal level. So you actually have an impromptu conversation about something, and you actually know these people. You build the connections and the interactions instead of just, okay, this is just some guy that sits off at Microsoft doing his thing. He's like, oh yes, I know that guy. We sat down, we had a drink together. This is what we talked about. So I'm just trying to personally say, okay, instead of party, it's more of the networking. That's the key for these things. Yes, you can have some drinks, you can have some fun, they have some music going. But the opportunity, as Eric mentioned, is to build your network, to get these interactions with people. So I always say, hey, I like this. A lot of the times my best experiences, a lot of my best friends I have now, I all know because of going to different community events and interacting as far as the socials after the fact. Because yes, you can go to a conference. You can sit in the sessions. You can learn some stuff. If all you're ever doing is just going and sitting in sessions and going back to your room when the day is done, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to expand your knowledge base and the people you're working with.
Absolutely. So Eric, I want to throw a tiny little question your way. You got to do one of your sessions in the expo hall. So they have these cool little theaters set up all around. What was it like doing a session? Of course, near to your heart. So it's P&P. You love doing that stuff. How was it doing that session and having this big cavernous building behind you?
The sound was really tight, and people kept coming and going. Right, they're walking by, and it was fun. It's different. I'm used to the bigger halls, and it was fun to do theater sessions. So
yeah, they seem like they were really cool.
It's different. It was really cool because you also get people that are walking by like. They hear a buzzword that they're looking for, and you saw them walking by, they stop, they turn.
Squirrel! Yeah, they squirrel.
They come and they sit for 5-10 minutes, and you not get that in the big sessions, which so many things about where the sessions are. How many steps are you guys getting in every day?
Yeah, geez.
12, 15,000 a day.
Easy, minimum, minimum. Yeah.
And that's what's sitting in sessions most of the day.
Yeah.
I can intentionally coordinate. Okay, these are the sessions I'm sitting in. I am staying in a particular building, especially like Ignite. This is spread across three or four buildings.
3 or 4 buildings, yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could rack up a whole lot more steps than that, but you're going to spend a lot of time walking between the buildings in the heat and humidity, but you could do it.
I have to say that's one of the tough parts about it being in 3 or 4 buildings is you want to go to a session, but it is in the building totally opposite of where you are.
Yeah.
And so, you're not going to make it there in 5 minutes.
Not 15.
Yeah. One of the cake takeaways I tried even this morning, because I had that same boat. There's a session I would love to have gone to. It was in the South building. It's like, I am not making it all the way over there, and then have to come all the way back for other sessions in the West Building.
Sure.
It's like, how am I going to do this? I was like, okay. I went, sat down in the community hall. They had some nice comfy chairs, put in the headphones, and live streamed it. Just like anybody that's not at Ignite now, you can do the same thing. You go out and just live stream the whole session. And so that way, granted, I don't have the interaction, the one-on-one with the speakers if I have a question or anything.
Sure.
But I can sit there and I can consume the content. I can participate somewhat without having to go and spend all the time walking back and forth.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So what's the top 1 to 3 reasons why people should be attending next year? Why would you want to attend Ignite next year? Assuming there is an Ignite, which I'm not giving away because I really don't know. But
They
assuming
haven't
there
officially
is,
said anything yet.
well, I really don't know. But assuming there is an Ignite, what would be a good reason or 2 or 3 to attend next year?
I heard Ignite's going to be at your house next year, Ryan.
Yeah, 20,000.
Sweet!
20,000 people in your backyard. Hope you're ready to barbecue.
I'm gonna go back
that
to.
wouldn't work.
I'm gonna go back. I'll answer the question on my own. I'm gonna go back to the interaction side. There's like 20,000 people here.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere else are we able to get that number of people here, and to have that opportunity to interact with and meet so many people, meet all the Microsoft people. This is where they're sending their people. This is where most companies are sending their people. To me, that's still like the number 1 draw for me. Is I want to be involved in that.
Yeah, also, just to add, and I'll let Peter go carry on, just the diversity. If you think about it, we have over 20,000 people here from all over the world. It's not just a United States, it's not just a Florida-based conference. This is global. You have people, I've had interactions with sitting at lunch. I had people talking to people from Netherlands. I actually found a guy near and dear to my heart, another guy in the developer community, same last name, woo!
Yeah,
But,
team
so,
shout.
From Holland. So I had an interaction with these guys. You have people I've seen people from China, you got people from Australia, you got people from Africa. They're coming here from all over the world. There's not any other place you're going to find this much diversity in a tech area.
And you know, when you work in your own company and you do your own stuff and so forth, you forget that.
Yeah.
You forget how big, you know, this all is. You forget about all the other people in all the other countries that are having the same problems, having the same thoughts and so forth. And so that was one thing that was definitely staggering. As I'm walking around, I can hear all this, you know, everybody's different language, you know, they're speaking it as you're walking by and stuff. And you get that sense of how big this is. Not only is there 25,000 people here, but globally. Right?
Yeah.
This is all over the place. I'd say the other thing is I've tried doing these conferences virtually, right? You know, and listening to them online. It's so easy to get distracted, you know, and come back to, and you never finish anything. You never are focused. And if you come here, you're focused.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And you really get to absorb, and you really get to see the passion.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good point that you brought out. The passion that these people have about what they're doing really came out in all the sessions that I was part of.
Yeah, so from my point, I'd say, is it valuable to you to come to one of these conferences? Totally.
Yeah.
And I don't think you find anybody that's been there and doing these for, like we have, that's going to deny that fact. The opportunities that are available to you, the interactions that you have, just the time you get to, dedicated time spent learning and improving yourself and getting these new skills. It's just, you can't put a value, you can't put a price point on that. Yes,
absolutely.
This is an expensive conference, but the value you're getting out of it. A lot of times I tell people as well that if you're planning on coming to one of these conferences, think what your problems are. You have access to these people that can answer your questions and your problems.
Yeah.
Come with some problem you're facing.
And
then ask those questions like, hey, I've got this problem. So you can either sit in one of the sessions with the people in the product team and ask them afterwards, hey, what about this?
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll be able to answer quickly. So yeah, it's just this. Otherwise, they say, okay, well, we'll talk after, or let's go meet in the expo hall. We'll discuss it later.
And then in the expo hall, you have all the vendors and all these businesses who are, are also experts in their field. So if you have a question about maybe a product you bought from them or something, you have all this stuff at your fingertips.
So one last thought is come even if it's just you coming. But to your point about sort of planning, if you can get more than just you coming, if you can get a group coming, that is much better. I can tell you from experience, right? I'm going to go back and the next Ignite or the next SharePoint conference, it's going to be a team coming from my company, not just me. Because there's so much going on. Divide and conquer. Plus, our team is diverse, right?
Yeah.
We all have our expertise. We all have differences in how we attack things. And so people need to see different things.
I'd add to that, yeah, the synergy, the energy that you can feel just kind of, you've used, like with my team, we've had 4 of us here, so not huge amounts, but we got enough of us, that we can sit down, we'll sit down at lunch or breakfast, different things, talk about the stuff we're seeing. We're kind of, okay, yeah, here's how we can apply this, and like, oh yeah, and then I was in this session, we started going about this, and so you start meshing all these pieces together, and you're getting the energy, and everybody's getting the idea, the big picture, like, oh, this is what we could do. So yes, totally, the more people you can have, the better experience everybody's going to have with it.
Absolutely.
You kind of already asked this last question, which was your advice for next year. Let me chime in on some of my stuff that I can think of. Plan your schedule out, be ambitious, but then when you get here, quickly realize you're calling all of that. You're going to go to a few sessions a day. Especially, this has been every Ignite I've been to, the facilities are always huge.
Yes.
And this one in particular is even more spread out. Don't keep trying to split buildings. Everyone I'm talking to yesterday and today are like, I'm not moving. I'm not going to that other building. So you'd have to sort of reevaluate your schedule, which I like what Peter was saying, to divide and conquer. Your team will go to South, you'll go to West, and you guys will meet up at lunch or something. Also, stay to Friday, stay till the end. I know a lot of people are leaving, like tonight or tomorrow morning, or to the celebration parties tonight, tomorrow they're going to leave. I'd say stay till the end. And then Microsoft's been working a lot on different ways of consuming this content here. So this year they came out with community reporters that had this cool live presence on Monday. But even then, they're going around interviewing people, and they're putting more video content online, which I like. They did the thing that Ryan was talking about, that if you realize you can't keep walking as much, they set up these zones where they've got lots of huge screen monitors. And they have 10 or 12, like all of the sessions are going all at once in this massive room, but you just go sit next to the screen you want, you put in some headphones, and you can now experience this. If you're tired and you don't want to keep moving, sit there for a couple hours, and you can just watch multiple ones, and you'll have more of that plan. So we have about 3 minutes left. Anything else that you want people to know about, like what is it that you learned, or any other takeaways, or other advice that you might want to give? Or
Do you have any other questions that came in that we can answer? Okay, good.
So what other, is there anything else in particular? What did Microsoft do right? Like what's the last thing you want people to know?
Yeah, one thing I'd say, as long as prepping and you're planning coming to one of these conferences, one of the things I've always done is make sure that you have more than one session that you like in a slot. It's not hard to do.
Oh, that's definitely not.
Yeah, I've got some of my slots. I've got 6 sessions all planned across the same point in time, and I do that for 2 reasons. I'll add them to my schedule. One is there are time frames where you'll be sitting in a session, and the description of what the session is going to be isn't what you thought it was going to be. They have a different spin on it. So you're like, okay, this is not quite what I thought it was. If you have those other options, you can say, okay, well, I wanted to go in this other session in the same general area. You can quickly get up and go sit on the other session, and you're not going to miss much.
So that's a really good point, because every morning I'd get up and I would go through for the day, and I would say, I like this, I'd look at the hour, I like this, I like it. And so I would have multiple on there. And then when the next hour was about to come up, when I was actually going through sessions, I'd look through the 3 or 4 that I had selected, and I'd determine, I'm going to go for that one, right? Either because it's closer.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
so far.
Yeah.
Or, out of all those, that one actually sounds the best after what I've heard. And
I have a lot of things that I'd say about Microsoft doing well, but the mobile app worked.
Yeah. Well, also what I'd say as well, with having multiples on there, afterwards, you have a list of things you thought were interesting, you can come back and review. Granted, how often do I do it? I hit a couple. I only hit a couple of, some key areas, but at least that way you have these things you thought were interesting. But yes, the ability and what Microsoft's made available to us to be able to, different ways, as Eric has mentioned, to be able to consume the plethora of information that's available at the conference is just amazing. If you think about it, all these different sessions going on all at the same point in time, all being streamed and recorded, it's just mind-blowing the amount of effort that it takes to pull this off. So I take my hat off to Microsoft. They do a good job running this.
Well, they said we have another cool event, which is really cool. Jeff Teeper said this. So SharePoint Conference North America. SharePoint Conference is basically coming back in a sense. Very cool. May 2018. I would highly recommend everyone put this on their calendar as something they'd want to attend. This is not a replacement for Ignite in any way. Ignite's, I'm sure, is still going to happen. Yes. But having a more deep dive SharePoint experience, I think, will be good for us. It's Vegas, May of 2018. More information to come, I'm sure. I believe it's at SharePointNA.com, SharePointNorthAmerica.com. So I'm sure you all will join us. I'm going to let Michael finish it up, but I definitely want to thank the two of you for joining us
Yeah,
as well. I
everyone.
really appreciate it. I had a great time.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
us.
Of
Yeah,
course,
thank
thanks for
you.
joining us. Real quick, where can we find you on Twitter or anything? Ryan, we'll start with you.
Yeah, for me, a lot of times, I don't know if you've been following me on Twitter. If not, I'm the SharePoint Knight, so go to SharePointKnight.com. It should be easy to track me down.
There you go. Peter, where can we find you?
No, you can't find me anywhere.
There you go. if you tag Keeper Consulting on Twitter,
There you
it'll
go,
get back to him
yes.
eventually.
No route.
No problem. You can find Eric. I'm gonna speak for him because he's wrapping up some things. You can find Eric at Eric Overfield on Twitter or ericoverfield.com, his own personal site. He always updates a lot of stuff there. For PixelMill, you can find PixelMill at PixelMill Team on Twitter or pixelmill.com. My name's Michael. I'm not nearly as cool as the rest of these three, so you don't have to worry about finding me. Guys, again, thank you so much for being here. So much happened this week, and it's been a lot of fun to chat with you guys. And thank you, everyone, for coming. We'll get the recording of this up. If there's anything you want to go back and listen to again, obviously there was a lot that we talked about. So there's that. Have a good rest of your day, everyone, and we will talk to you soon.
Thanks all.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.